on into this week's episode of Digging Deeper. I'm Matt Korte, joined here today by a man that I'm not going to blammo his face in the door today. It is Pastor Reverend Randy Duncan.
Yeah, it's great to be with you, Matt. Yeah, we're both not in the same room today, but it's always great to connect and kind of unpack what we talked about on Sunday.
Absolutely, and I know when you were given this sermon on chapel, I thought it was so fitting just because you spent the past decade or so in a chapel as well, and now at a different chapel, but
Right.
I don't know, I thought that was really cool in the first place, and then when seeing the reading that you were giving as well, I was like, okay, this is going to be an interesting sermon, and I love the way you took it, so I know I heard that from other people as well, and I'm just excited to unpack it here with you today.
Yeah, Pastor, the scripture reading was given to me, and at first I was like, probably like you, like, okay, it's going to be interesting how I unpack this,
Right.
but then you're praying about it, like, it totally ties into who we are and our calling as a chapel.
Yeah, and I know I always do like social media clips to put online and everything of the sermon, and I
Yeah.
went straight to that conclusion of yours. I really love that conclusion where you were just talking about, and I think we'll talk about it later in the podcast as well, but just where do you find chapels and
Yeah.
just all the different places you find them, and how that also applies to us on a university campus as well. And I just thought
Right.
that was really evocative, and I really love that part.
Yeah, it's I love that we're called a chapel. And like I mentioned, it wouldn't be bad to be called a church. I love churches too, but
Yeah.
there's something about a chapel that kind of resonates with our mission.
Absolutely. And so, just to break down those 3 bullet points for everyone in case they may have forgot them since this past Sunday, but those, the way you broke it down was the Lord delivers his people, the Lord dwells with his people, and the Lord directs his people. And you have a lot of great quotes here today that I'm excited to dig into with you.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of them probably sort of steer into that, how the Lord directs us, especially.
Uh-huh.
And I think there's just a lot of things that you can say about that. So I'll just start firing some of these off, and I'm excited to hear what you have to
Okay.
say about some of these. But this first one is from Gregory of Nyssa.
Yeah.
And it's what he says here is the true vision of God consists in this: never to stop following him, for the cloud always leads beyond what we have already attained.
Yeah. I love the church fathers, and you realize it's always been a struggle to step out in faith, to keep going. We always kind of want to revert back to the comfortable, but the world changes, and how the message doesn't change, but how we address it has to change. We're in the communication business, but it's always moving. God always stretches us, takes us out of our comfort zones, and that's where faith comes in. Because if we can already do it in our own strength, then like the book of Hebrews says that without faith it's impossible to please God. So he's always stretching us so that we have to walk in faith, even when we don't know exactly where we're being led, but we trust the one who leads.
Absolutely. And this next one that we have is from one of the favorites here on this show, Golden Mouth himself, John Chrysostom. He
Yep.
has a quote here where he says, "It was not for Israel to choose the place of rest, but for God to show it. And blessed were they when they followed without delay."
Yeah, that they weren't saying, "Okay, God, I think we can do 20 miles today," or "I think we should stay here for a year." And God said, "Okay, whatever, you know." But they just had to be ready when God said go. They had to move, and I love how it says, "Blessed without delay." Sometimes I'm on a kind of a learning curve, and I feel like I'm lagging behind. That delay, and for myself, I was convicted. Like, how many times, like, delayed obedience is disobedience, at least for that period of time. And you could have stayed back, but the community is gone. God is moving, and so it's kind of a miserable place to be, anyways. And so it's better to I think as God is leading us to just in faith, even though it might be scary, even though the resources might not be there, we don't know how it's going to happen. But if God is moving, then we follow him.
Yeah, and I can think of countless Bible stories where they might not have done it without delay. And I don't know, the one that sticks out immediately for me is just Gideon, where he's
Yeah.
just like testing God and testing God. He's like, I don't know if I really want to follow you. I'm going to delay as much as I can and make sure this is actually what you're saying, which
Right.
I can't judge. I probably would have done the exact same thing, or just, I don't know, maybe even worse, just completely ignored it because I'm like, I'm not going to go attack this camp of Philistines or whoever it was. I think it was Philistines.
Right.
But, I mean, I just know that always easier said than done as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. Just that God, you're just following him. And I think when we remember that he's all knowing, so he knows everything, and he's all loving, and he's all omnipotent, he's got all power, why not trust him? And why do we always back like trusting our own understanding and what we our preferences, our opinions? We just trust him. And Martin Luther had another great quote. He talked about like a lot of times I don't know the way, but I know my guide, and so the one who's leading the way, Jesus, and so we can trust him.
Yeah, I like that. Now, this next quote we have here is from Dietrich Bonhoeffer, and it says that the church is the church only when it exists for others.
Yeah, Dietrich Bonhoeffer, he kind of nails it. And the thing I don't like about him is that he just doesn't hold back. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, and a lot of times we think the world exists for the church, like come here, help us grow, things like that. But Jesus was all about the going part and being there in the world and connecting with people that he has created his church for the world and to bring this message to the world. And so yeah, so I hear my dog rustling back there.
Love it.
That we do exist for the world. Jesus didn't say for the world to come to church. He said for the church to go into the world and to reach and proclaiming him. And that in the Great Commission, the commandment is to make disciples, but the way we do it, the first thing he says, by going. That's the first, it's a participle, but he says, the first thing you got to do is, I'm on the move, so you got to be on the move. The Son of Man came to seek.
Yeah, it's funny you brought up the Great Commission. I was gonna bring that up too. I was gonna bring up the Great Commission too, just because, like you said, it's go. It's not let them come to you and then make disciples.
Right. Just put up a sign in front saying everybody's welcome, and then you've accomplished the Great Commission. No. First of all, in order for a lot of people to feel like they're welcome, we need to go to them. We need to cross the street. We need to cross barriers and say, you are loved by Jesus.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love this next quote you have here from Leslie Newbigin. And it says here that the church is not called to be a place where the gospel is kept safe, but a people through whom it is made visible in the world.
Yeah, that really struck me. He's a good Anglican guy and Orthodox, but a lot of times we're so afraid of making a mistake that we cannot move. We're like, we have a paralysis of analysis, and we have the message. We have the gospel, and so a lot of times Augustine put it this way too, and Luther also said that that we don't have to. The gospel is like a lion, and you don't have to protect the lion. You just let the lion loose, and so the gospel is powerful, and it's meant to connect with people and to get that message out. And And I love how he phrases it, to make it visible, but through, with the people, make it visible. So both in word and deed, that we are called to be good news people.
All right, and next you have a quote here from Eugene Peterson that says, "Following Jesus is not a matter of the right ideas, but of the right direction."
Yeah, it's when I came across that, at first I'm like, oh, well, it is about right ideas. It's similar to what Nubian said, but that it is right idea, and we want to have the gospel correct, and we want to be doctrinally correct, but we also want to get the gospel out and to what Jesus. It's interesting that the first Christians didn't call themselves Christians. It was the way. It was a movement. It was direction, and bringing this Jesus to those who don't know him rightly, and being able to proclaim him. And so I think sometimes we have the gospel, but we have the wrong direction. It's always focused inward, and we have this consumer mentality. But the right direction is that I've said it before, but we want to know Jesus more fully, and that's what the church, the chapel, is about. But so that we can make him more fully known, and the direction is not just everybody coming to the church, but for us to be able to go out there and especially go into those who are hurting. Jesus has such a soft spot in his heart for those who are broken, those who are in need. But being able to get off of ourselves and to be his hands and his feet in a world that desperately needs him.
Yeah, and along those same lines, you have a line here, and I'm not sure if it's something you wrote, maybe, but it says here that it's not enough to have an accurate map if we don't intend to move.
Yeah, it was a line that I was going to put in, and I thought I'm kind of saying that elsewhere in many ways, but like the best map is useless if you don't follow it. And we do have an accurate map. We do know what Jesus' heart is for all this, and I was going to use the phrase, and I probably could have, but GPS, but God's positioning system, that we move with God. And why do you need a map? Why would you need Apple Maps or Google Maps if you don't intend to go anywhere? Is it to see where you could have been, if you would have followed?
Sure.
And so, so it's not enough to just know what is true, and to know that our calling is to go out, and our calling is to show love to this world that needs Jesus, and to preach the gospel that we are saved not by what we do, but because of what Christ did on the cross with all the bad stuff that we did, and that we are forgiven and we have freedom and we're no longer slaves. And to be able to do that, it's not enough to know that we should do it. We need to get out there. A lot of people, we might have the best of intentions, but if we're not actually sharing the gospel, then we're really missing out on what it means to be the church.
Yeah. And I know this is actually something that Pastor Marcus and I talked about a little bit last week in our podcast as well, just like the three uses of the law. And of course, that third one is that guide as well, which a little bit different usage here, but in the same way, it's also where God is still guiding us. And that third use also is in a lot of ways sort of after that gospel message, we know, okay, now that I know that I am saved and I'm living in God's grace, this is what God intends me to do. And biggest portion of that is sharing that good news as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love just seeing the synergy there.
It really is, yeah. I love the third use, and it's just simply a response, similar to how the people we talked about with the tabernacle and bringing all the resources and their skills and stuff. It was simply a response to being delivered. Like, okay, yeah, I'm happy to do this, and I want to share this. This is such good news. I can't keep it to myself. Like when I get a new food that I like, or I hit this restaurant, I'm the first one to tell everybody. Or there's a new tune that came out, I'm the first one. But how much more that, hey man, we're not going to hell, and not only that, we can have a relationship with Jesus, and we're going to spend eternity with him, and that he's going to take care of us. Sharing that message.
Yeah. And I don't know, that goes back just to a story that I heard even in a chapel back when I was in high school. And it was, I believe it was Penn from Penn and Teller, who pretty devout atheist and like very outspoken about it, but told this story about how a man came up and witnessed to him. And he was actually sort of taken aback by it just because he was so outspoken about it. And he was like, why would you tell me this? Like, you know that, like, I don't believe in this, and that I'm pretty outwardly speaking against it. And he said, well, like, this is truly what I believe, and it means that, like, I truly do want to see you in heaven. And
Yeah.
I don't think he necessarily converted from that,
Right.
but at the same time, he like earned this respect in a way. He was like, wow, like if this really is the truth, I do respect him for like caring about me in that way. And so it's just cool to see, like, even in someone like that, that even like the seed sort of being planted, and just seeing what the Holy
Yeah.
Spirit can do through that as well.
Yeah, he realized it's really an act of love, and I saw that too, and was amazing to me. But his line, he said, "How much do you have to hate somebody to not share, if this is what you believe, and not share this message?" Like, and he goes on, like, if somebody's about to be hit by a bus,
Right.
you don't just like, well, I don't want to get involved, or let them do their own thing. You'd want to rescue. You would want to do that, and so yeah, that's a great example, and I love it how you brought out too that I think he's still an atheist or something, but he saw that actually if you believe in something and it's supposed to be good news, that you should share it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's just the natural response. And
Yeah.
you talked about giving out of love. I know that sometimes in your sermons you have something that you're going to talk about and then end up cutting for time. That's what this podcast is for. I know one of those things that you were going to talk about was about giving out of love, and even a little bit about your proposal, maybe.
Yeah, I took it out for time purposes, but yeah, I think about when I that how the most important thing, what if there's love, like a lover will do more than just a doer. And so if there's love, he or she will outdo a doer any day. And God's people, when they brought the materials and their skills and stuff for the tabernacle, they did it willingly and with their heart, because of love, and thankfulness. And so yeah, when I proposed to Amy, I started out with, if you ever seen The Wedding Singer, I sang, "I want to grow old with you." Yeah, and I sang that, and told her it's about her. I'm speaking. I got down on my knee and said something like, I could spend the rest of my life looking for somebody more drop dead gorgeous, more in love with Jesus, but I know I never would, and I love you, and I want to spend the rest of my life showing you that. If she would have responded with, "Well, I'll do some cooking, and I'll vacuum sometimes, and I'll maybe do laundry once in a while for you," I'd be like, I don't want to hear that. I wanted to hear exactly what she did. She jumped up, wrapped her arms around me, and said, "I love you too," and I'd be honored to. And knowing when there's love, that covers. When you're motivated by love, you're going to meet the stuff. You're going to do the stuff, but it's empowered because it's not just obligation. It's just a heart of gratitude and love for having that person in your life, and that's how it is with God too. That's the third use of the law. It's just for all you've done, Jesus. I love you, and my heart's desire is to do what blesses your heart because I love you. And I know one of the major things that bless his heart is when his children tell his lost children that he loves them too, and he died for them.
Yeah, no, that's powerful. And yeah, I think you just have a couple more notes here that we want to hit on before wrapping up. I know that you have a note here about how you can sort of tie in the transfiguration of Jesus into the tabernacle as well.
Yeah, I was, I thought, boy, that's a great tie-in, but that will take 10 minutes itself. And so, but I see a lot of parallel here, where we know that Moses couldn't go into the promised land. From Mount Nebo, he was able to see it and know that his people are going to go there. Fast forward, what is it, about 1,500 years to life of Jesus. And he goes up to the mount and he brings Peter, James, and John. And then who appears? It's Moses and it's Elijah speaking with him and talking about the mission, his suffering and death that's going to happen. But one thing I love is that who's on the mountain? Who's in the promised land now? It's Moses because of Jesus. That Jesus brings us into the promised land. It's by grace. But also that, what does it say there? That a cloud came over them, and Jesus shone like the sun, it was glorious. The glory of he was like manifesting that glory, and then Peter, James, and John, they fall on their face, and then a voice says that this is my beloved son. Listen to him. He had the two big shots, Elijah and Moses, but he said, "This is my son. Listen to him." And when they looked up, they saw Jesus only. And I think that's a paradigm shift that happened. Not just physically Moses and Elijah weren't there, but that's not Moses and Jesus. It's Jesus. It's not Moses and Elijah and Jesus. It's Jesus. But just how that glory that was there over the tabernacle in our text was demonstrated and displayed on the Mount of Transfiguration. They got to see Jesus for who he is, like the glorious one, and the Father speaking.
And I also, and I also think just the response to that glory as well. You think about what Peter is like, "Hey, I'll pitch up a tent and we can just stay here forever, God."
Exactly.
He wanted to do like that mindset of just sort of.
Yeah, he wanted little tabernacles
exactly
to be built for all of them, and let's just stay here, and so I can have Moses and Elijah, and I can have Jesus. Such a deal. But then God says, "No, it's Jesus. It's Jesus only."
Yeah.
But all that glory and the cloud and the tents and it has some of these tabernacle motifs to it right there.
Yeah, absolutely. One last thing before we close. In your conclusion of your sermon, already talked about it a little bit though, of just how you tied in. Where do we see chapels? And I know you talked about just like the hospital. You talked about, at places of transit, different places like that, prisons.
Yeah.
And I know there was one that I think you said you brought up at the 11:30 gathering, but not at the others.
Yeah.
If you wanted to bring in that one.
Yeah, I in all the services I talked about, like hospitals, a place of healing, prisons where broken people hopefully can find restoration and new life, but the chapels are there. Airports, people in transit, and a lot of people freak out, and so to get a little peace in the middle of journey, they can go there. But I also, and at 11:30 I talked about military, that there's chapels usually associated with the battlefield or training or whatever. And we're in the middle of a battle, and it's not, Satan's doing a great job of making it us versus them. But but the scriptures and Jesus says, no, we do have a real enemy who wants to steal, kill, and destroy, and it's Satan. And so for us to be prepared for that, and for spiritual warfare, and to be able to be ready for our families, to pray and seek God, and to find His strength there. But we're trained for that. The Bible likens it at times to this battle that is going on, but it's not against flesh and blood like we want to make it out. It's against the principalities and powers, it's against demonic stuff. So that should be the place where the church also is ready, and as a chapel, to help people. Everyone's got a battle, and for them to receive strength and direction in order to have victory in their lives.
Yeah, and as a chapel, we are going to be gathering at the Lydia Mendelson Theater this upcoming Sunday for Super Sunday in Ann Arbor. So everyone out there, make sure you just see all the information we got out on social media, up on the website, and anywhere you look, really. But we're excited to have everyone together all in one place, and also be a place where we can be welcoming other people into what we're all about here at ULC, University Lutheran Chapel. And at that service, Pastor Gabe will be the one preaching, and he'll be talking about rediscover community, which I think is a perfect sermon for what it's going to be all about. Just sort of rediscovering that community. And it's going to be going through 1 Timothy 1:12 through 19. So if you want a sneak peek into next week's Digging Deeper, head to 1 Timothy 1. But that's all we have for this week's Digging Deeper. Then once again, thank you for joining me, Dr. Pastor Randy. And it's always so great to hear from you and just hear all the different things you have to say and all the different resources you're pulling in. I loved hearing all of it.
Thanks, Brother Matt. It's great spending time with you.
Welcome back to this next segment of Digging Deeper. You thought you were done with just one Duncan on this podcast? No. You get two for the price of one today. I'm here with our director of ministry and outreach, or worship and outreach, Amy Duncan.
Yay, thanks. I'm so excited to be here, Matt. I'm glad you're feeling better and all that stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes, and I know a big theme from Pastor Randy's sermon this past Sunday was just talking about God directing us where He wants us to go, and talking about how the pillar moved and then the people packed up the tabernacle and went on, and just how, I know Pastor Randy and I talked about this some during the first half of this podcast, where following Jesus, not necessarily the easiest thing at times, and sometimes He's taken us places where it might be a little bit uncomfortable, and maybe that's a good thing. And I know that this upcoming Sunday, we're going to be not in our normal place. We're not going to be in our normal digs at 1511 Washtenaw, but a mile or so down the road on North U over at Lydia Mendelson Theater for Super Sunday. And I know you wanted to talk about that a little bit today.
Yeah, thanks. No, I was really blessed by the sermon this past weekend, and was really touched by this idea of like looking up to the Lord, looking up to this cloud, listening to His call, no matter whether it's comfortable or not. And it just kind of reminded me of yesterday was our first day where we had the opportunity to be in the theater for the first time. Had to go completely to the setup, put the band in, put the audio in, all this stuff, and then rehearse, and then tear it all back down just so that we can do it again on Sunday morning. And it was great. Like, I think it went really well. And it was hard, though. Like, it wasn't comfortable by any means. And so just thinking about that, I loved this. I love this idea of whether this is exactly what God's calling us to do, whether this is exactly how it looks. Like we're stepping out. And what was so beautiful yesterday is we have the window, we have the ULC window in it, on the back screen. And like, I'm kind of, saying this is us in this place together, and we're singing songs that we know. We're singing about being in community and blessing the Lord and all that kind of stuff. And I don't know, I just felt like, yeah, it's not comfortable, but I'm so excited to be in community with everybody this weekend and just to praise him. And and just to see us together in one place and taking that leap to be in maybe a little bit of an uncomfortable space. So
yeah, and I know in the conclusion of Randy's sermon, he talked about how chapels are in a lot of different ways just meant for people that are in need, in transit, in war even, or in our example, people that, and for us it's people that are college students. So that's one of our biggest points of emphasis here at University Lutheran Chapel. And so we're, and I know Pastor Randy and I also talked about, it's not necessarily about keeping the gospel safe, it's taking it and making it visible into the world. And that's what we're trying to do here this Super Sunday. We're taking it right on campus to the students, and we're hoping that we have a good turnout from not just the people of ULC, but their friends and family, and students and their friends and family, and really just hoping that that God's word can be heard there as well.
Yeah. And it was like, we don't even realize, like, we're on U of M's campus, and we are standing in front of people that may or may not know Jesus, whether it's the tech company that we hired to do the sound, or if it's the people that work there. And they were asking questions like, why are you doing this? This is so cool, we love it. And it was really, I don't know, like, we just have this chance to be a light, to be a city on a hill, like we've talked about before. And I think this is a great opportunity for us to do that. So I'm just hoping that everybody's ready to come in and sing loudly, and maybe deal with it being a little different and maybe not exactly how it looks, but that we're all together in community, and that we're kind of discovering really the heart of that. So I'm super excited.
Yeah, and that's the sermon title for this next upcoming Sunday, is Rediscover Community. And I think it'll be beautiful to have everyone all in one building at one time. That doesn't happen a whole lot at ULC, just because our building doesn't necessarily fit the entire church. So this is a place that can do that, and hopefully we'll do that on Sunday. So I'm really excited for that. And I mean, the community is not just a picket fence and us sort of trying to keep everyone in. It's trying to welcome in people as well. So I'm really hoping that we can see that a lot on Sunday as well too.
Yep. It'll be great. Awesome. Thanks.
Yeah, so that's it for this episode of Digging Deeper. As I just hinted at, Rediscover Community is the title of next week's sermon. Pastor Gabe will be with me on Digging Deeper next week, and we'll be going through 1 Timothy 1, 12 through 19. So if you want to get a jump start on that, head to 1 Timothy 1. So thanks again for watching, and have a blessed week. We'll see you at Super Sunday.
Bye now.